When most people picture the United States Navy, they picture something enormous. An aircraft carrier the length of 3 football fields, a destroyer bristling with missiles, a nuclear submarine vanishing silently beneath the waves. The Navy, in the public imagination, is steel measured in the tens of thousands of tons, vast, slow, and overwhelming. These are the Navy's small combat craft. Fast, low to the water, and lightly built, they carry no heavy hull to hide behind. They cannot absorb a hit the way a destroyer can. Instead, they survive by never being where the enemy expects, by getting in and out before anyone can react. On these boats, speed is the armor, and increasingly, the sailors trusted to ride them at extreme velocity across open ocean and narrow rivers include women. Women who have trained to exactly the same standard as everyone standing on the deck beside them. Today, we are going inside that world. The powerful combat boats of the U.S. Navy. The punishing physics of riding them at speed. The brutal training that decides who is allowed to. And the sailors, women among them, who hold on, hold course, and hold their fire until the precise moment it is needed. Reframing the machine. Why small means important. To understand why these boats matter so much, you first have to let go of an assumption that feels like common sense. The idea that bigger always means more important. Consider one statistic that appears again and again in naval special warfare's own history. Roughly half of the entire world's population lives within about 1 mile of a coastline or a river. Half of all the people on Earth. That single fact explains more about modern naval strategy than almost any other. Because the largest, most powerful warships ever built share one enormous limitation. They need deep water. An aircraft carrier cannot follow an enemy up a shallow river. A destroyer cannot slip silently into a crowded harbor. A submarine cannot nose up to a beach and pull a team of operators off the sand while taking fire from the tree line. Small boats can do all of that, and that is precisely why they exist. The United States Navy operates several distinct classes of these craft, each engineered for a specific environment. The Special Operations Craft-Riverine, known by its initials as the SOC-R, is a 33-foot boat designed for rivers and nearshore waters. Its V-shaped hull is built to skate along the surface, drawing very little water, so it can run through shallow rivers without its hull, rudder, or propellers snagging on submerged roots and rocks. It mounts weapons at 5 positions, giving its crew a full 360-degree field of fire, meaning the boat can defend itself and lay down suppressing fire in every direction at once. Then there is the larger family of ocean-going craft. The Combatant Craft Assault, the Combatant Craft Medium, and the Combatant Craft Heavy are designed for open ocean and coastal operations. The Combatant Craft Assault is built from composite material rather than metal, which keeps it light and durable while resisting corrosion. It is largely open to the elements, with little more than a windshield around the crew compartment, meaning the 4-person crew rides exposed to wind, spray, and cold. And there is the 81-foot Mark V Special Operations Craft, a larger platform for longer-range work. Beyond the elite Special Operations boats, the wider Navy fields its own combat and patrol craft. The Maritime Expeditionary Security Force, known for years as the Coastal Riverine Force, operates patrol boats and rigid-hull inflatable boats called RHIBs that guard harbors, escort high-value ships, and patrol coastal waters around the world. These are the boats that protect a warship as it enters a foreign port. These are the crews on the water at 3 in the morning, watching for threats the big ships cannot see. Every one of these vessels, from the smallest river craft to the patrol boats, is built around the same core idea. Get close, move fast, get out faster. The human detail, the pizza. Here is the detail that almost no civilian pictures when they imagine these boats slicing across the water. The crews do not sit down. At high speed, in any real chop, sitting is genuinely dangerous. The impacts of the hull against the water travel straight up through the seat and into the spine. So the crews stand. They ride these boats the way a rider takes a horse over a jump. Knees bent, body loose, weight balanced, absorbing every single slam of the hull through their legs. The legs become the suspension system that the boat itself does not have. A former operator described the forces involved in plain terms to a defense journalist. These boats can go very fast, he said, and as a result, the forces the crews have to sustain while operating them are extremely intense.
Now hold that image and place a young woman in that crew. Helmet on, night vision goggles down over her eyes. One gloved hand locked onto a weapon mount, the other braced against the boat. Her knees are flexed and never lock. She is riding a 33-foot craft at full throttle through black water she cannot fully see, reading the river by feel and by training and by the rhythm of the hull punching beneath her boots. Every time the boat launches off a wave and slams down, she takes the hit through her legs and stays on her weapon. Every time it cuts a hard turn, she turns with it, part of the machine rather than a passenger on it. This is the reality hidden inside the phrase, riding a combat boat. It is not a ride in any ordinary sense. It is a controlled, violent, full-body fight against speed and water, sustained, often in darkness and cold, for hours at a time. The spray that looks so dramatic in a photograph is, for the crew, a constant, cold assault. The speed that looks exhilarating is a series of impacts the body has to absorb hundreds of times over. And the sailors who do this, including the women among them, make it look effortless precisely because they have trained their bodies to make it look that way. From the outside, it looks almost thrilling. The spray fanning out behind the hull, the roar of the engines, the raw speed of a small boat tearing across the water. And it is thrilling. There is no point pretending otherwise. But that thrill conceals something the recruiting footage never quite lingers on. Because the truth is that riding one of these boats at extreme speed is one of the most physically punishing jobs in the entire United States Navy. And the path to earning a seat on one of the elite versions of these craft is deliberately engineered to break the overwhelming majority of the people who attempt it. To understand who rides these boats, you first have to understand what it costs to get there, and what the water does to the human body once you do. The hidden difficulty. The brutal physics of speed on water. Speed on water is nothing like speed on land. On a highway, going fast is smooth. The road is flat and predictable. But water is different. Water is soft right up until the moment you hit it fast, and then it becomes something closer to concrete. A small boat moving at high speed across a series of waves does not glide gracefully over them. It launches off the back of one wave, briefly leaves the surface, and then slams down into the next. And it does this again and again and again, every few seconds, for the entire length of the mission. Each impact sends a shock straight up through the hull and into the bodies of the people standing on it. This is the single most important reason these crews stand instead of sit, and it is why their stance is treated as a fundamental skill. The legs become living shock absorbers. The knees stay bent and never lock, because a locked joint transmits the full force of the impact straight into the spine. The body learns to read the water a half second ahead, to see the wave coming,
anticipate the slam, and brace for it before it arrives. Get that timing wrong, and a single bad impact can compress the spine, snap the head forward violently, or knock a crew member off balance at a speed where losing your footing is genuinely dangerous. Now, add everything the crew has to carry while absorbing those impacts. Body armor, a helmet, night vision equipment, a personal weapon, and, in many cases, responsibility for a crew-served weapon mounted on the boat. Communications gear, ammunition. The combat boat crew member absorbs every one of those hull impacts while loaded down with equipment, frequently soaked by cold spray, frequently in total darkness, and frequently for hours on end without meaningful relief. Think of it this way. The crew is performing a standing, weighted, full-body workout that simply does not stop, while at the same time navigating, communicating, watching their assigned sectors, and standing ready to fight at any second. There is no version of this job that is physically easy. The water guarantees that. The training standard that refuses to bend. Here is the part that matters most, and the part that is most often misunderstood by people on the outside. For the elite tier of this world, the Special Warfare Combatant Craft crewmen, known as SWCC, the operators who insert and extract Navy SEALs and other Special Operations Forces, the training pipeline is among the most demanding in the entire United States military.
It begins with a 7-week basic crewman training course at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado in California. From the very start, the course attacks the candidate's body and mind at the same time. Physical conditioning, running, swimming, and calisthenics grows progressively harder week after week. And buried within those weeks is a brutal multi-day evolution that has broken countless candidates. A grueling stretch involving very little sleep, constant exposure to the elements, repeated underway boat work, swimming events, and tests of navigation and boat handling tactics, all stacked on top of deep, accumulating exhaustion. The entire purpose of that evolution is to find out who can keep functioning, who can still think, still perform, still work as part of a team, when their body is screaming at them to quit. The candidates who survive that selection move on to roughly 21 weeks of crewman qualification training. There, instructors train and evaluate them in basic and heavy weapons, seamanship, casualty care, small unit tactics, engineering, communications, navigation, boat handling, and live fire conducted while the boat is actually underway and moving. Candidates have to pass tests in every single subject to advance. By the end, they are introduced to the full Naval Special Warfare mission planning cycle, learning to plan, brief, execute, and debrief a real mission. This produces one of the smallest special operations communities in the U.S. military. Out of roughly 70,000 personnel under U.S. Special Operations Command, fewer than 1,000 are qualified SWCC operators. The community's standards are famously unyielding. Its creed ends with 3 words that capture the entire ethos: on time, on target, never quit. In 2016, these Special Operations boat roles were formally opened to women for the first time. And here is the crucial fact. The standards were not lowered to accommodate that change. There is one bar. It is the same bar for everyone. A woman who earns a place in this community earns it by clearing exactly what every man beside her had to clear. The same swim distances, the same surf, the same sleepless multi-day evolution, the same live fire boat handling under load. Nothing about the test bends for anyone. And it is worth being precise here.
across the broader Navy's combat and patrol boat forces, the harbor security units, the coastal patrol craft, the RHIB crews that operate off the decks of larger warships. Women have been serving and operating small boats for far longer than 2016. They have stood those watches, crewed those boats, and patrolled those waters around the world for years. The 2016 change opened the most elite, most selective door. The broader world of Navy combat boats was already one where women served. The mental battle nobody sees. The physical punishment is only half of what these crews endure. The other half is mental, and it never lets up while the boat is underway. Operating a combat boat at speed is a relentless cognitive task. The boat captain and crew must navigate, often at night, often in shallow or unfamiliar water, sometimes in rivers narrow enough that a few feet of error means disaster, while simultaneously staying in formation with a second boat. These craft almost never operate alone. They work in detachments of two, which means each crew has to maintain its own course and speed while constantly tracking the other boat's position, all in the dark, all at speed. On top of navigation and formation keeping, the crew manages communications, watches their assigned fields of fire, tracks the mission clock, and stays ready every second to deliver fire or absorb it. There is no autopilot for any of this. There is no pause button. A small navigational mistake at high speed in a narrow river in darkness becomes dangerous almost instantly. There is very little margin and very little time to correct. What the job demands, in the end, is two things that seem to pull in opposite directions, held at the same time: aggression and precision. A racing boat and calm hands. The crew has to be fast and controlled simultaneously for the entire duration of the mission, while their bodies are being hammered by the water and their minds are tracking a dozen things at once. That combination, sustained under physical duress, is what truly separates the people who can do this work from the people who cannot. So this is the hidden cost buried beneath the spray and the speed. A body methodically punished by the water, impact after impact. A training standard that refuses absolutely to bend for anyone. And a mind that cannot rest for a single moment while the boat is moving. And this is exactly why the changes happening to this force right now matter so much. Because the combat boat itself, the crews who ride it, and the question of who is allowed to ride it are all transforming at the same moment.
The evolution, climax. A force built on constant reinvention. The small boat side of the United States Navy has always evolved faster than the great capital ships, because it has always lived closer to the fight, where lessons are learned quickly and paid for dearly. Its lineage runs straight back to the PT boats of the Second World War. Those were small, fast, lightly armored torpedo boats that used their speed and agility to harass far larger enemy warships. And it was a PT boat from Motor Torpedo Boat Squadron 3 that famously carried General Douglas MacArthur to safety. The same idea carried forward into the Brown Water Navy of the Vietnam War, the boat crews who fought through the rivers, canals, and coastlines where no destroyer or carrier could possibly follow. During that 7-year involvement, the boat side of naval special warfare grew into a force of more than 700 craft. Today's special boat teams and patrol forces are the direct descendants of those World War II torpedo boat sailors and those Vietnam river crews.
They inherited a creed that explicitly honors that heritage, a promise to remember the courage and sacrifices of the boat crews who came before. And they carry the same fundamental conviction into a new century, that a small, fast boat, placed in exactly the right spot at exactly the right moment, can accomplish what a warship 1,000 times its size never could. And the machines themselves keep getting more capable. The newer combatant craft are built from composite materials that resist rust, stay light, and remain durable. They are gaining sophisticated sensors, forward-looking infrared systems, already in use on the combatant craft medium and heavy, that can detect, identify, and track other vessels and objects in complete darkness. There is active discussion and experimentation around arming these small boats with precision-guided munitions and around pairing them with small drones, which would transform a fast insertion boat into a craft that can also find and strike targets on its own. Some of these boats are airborne qualified, meaning they can be parachute dropped from C-17 and MC-130 cargo aircraft, allowing them to appear fast and unannounced almost anywhere in the world, dropped straight onto the water and ready to run. Who rides them now? But the single most significant change to this force may not be the hardware at all. It may be the crews. For most of the long history of these boats, the question of who could ride them had a narrow and unspoken answer. That has changed, and it has changed in two layers worth understanding clearly. In the broader Navy, the combat and patrol boat forces have long included women. Women have stood watch on harbor security craft. They have crewed the rigid-hull inflatable boats launched from the decks of larger warships to investigate suspicious vessels and conduct boardings. They have patrolled coastal waters in the Maritime Expeditionary Security Force, guarding harbors and escorting ships. This is not new, and it is not rare. It has been a working reality of the fleet for years. And then, in 2016, the most selective door of all, the elite Special Operations Boat Operator path, was opened to women for the first time. For the first time, the very hardest seats in this entire community became reachable by anyone who could meet the standard. That phrase is the whole point of the story. Anyone who can meet the standard. Because on a combat boat moving at extreme speed, the water does not know and does not care who is standing on the deck. The impacts land with exactly the same force regardless. The night is exactly as dark. The cold spray hits exactly as hard. The mission clock runs at exactly the same speed. The only question the water ever asks is whether the sailor standing on that boat can absorb the punishment, hold the course, manage the weapon, and complete the job. The boat is the great equalizer. It tests every single person who rides it by precisely the same brutal measure, and it rewards only those who can pass. Speed is still the armor, and the water is still the judge. Closing. The bigger meaning. Step all the way back, and the whole arc comes into focus. It began with small wooden torpedo boats darting between steel battleships in the Second World War. Fragile, fast, and dangerous out of all proportion to their size. It ran through the rivers and canals of Vietnam, where a brown water navy fought in waters the great ships could never reach. It lives today in composite-hulled combat craft, bristling with infrared sensors and heavy weapons, riding the razor's edge between speed and survival on every coastline and river where the United States operates. And it is now carrying that same mission into a future where the crews who ride these boats reflect the country they serve more fully than at any point in that long history.
Through every one of those eras, across more than 80 years, one thing has never changed. These boats have never protected their crews with thick steel hulls. They have never been able to. Instead, they have protected the people aboard them with velocity, with the ability to get close, hit hard, and vanish again before the enemy can react. On a combat boat, speed has always been the armor. And the sailors who ride these boats at extreme speed, women now among them, having met the same unbending standard as everyone else aboard, are not passengers. They are not along for the ride. They are the reason the boat works at all. Standing, braced, soaked, and steady, reading the water a half-second ahead, holding the course while the ocean and the river do everything in their power to throw them off it. That is the quiet truth behind the spray and the noise and the speed. The Navy's smallest combat craft ask more of the human body, mile for mile, than almost anything else afloat. They demand a punishing blend of strength, endurance, nerve, and precision that very few people on Earth can sustain. And the sailors who answer that demand, whoever they are, wherever they came from, earn every single second of the ride. If you found this look inside the United States Navy's fast combat boats worthwhile, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what we cover next. See you next time.